Hey everyone, hi, welcome! So today I am going to explore this question. What is dark academia? And do I have any books in my collection? And can I transform myself into a dark academic? So if you are interested in this video and you want to go on this journey with me, then hello, hi, I'm Shelly if you don't know me already. I love books and reading, and I also love making videos that ask questions and exploring those questions. If you find yourself enjoying this video, I would encourage you to subscribe, stick around, and without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. Wikipedia is a great place to start with these kind of big questions. So I have my computer right here. So according to Wikipedia, dark academia is an internet aesthetic and subculture, and it's concerned with higher education, the arts, literature, and an idealized version thereof. Their aesthetics, it centers around traditional education. So traditional education clothing, we're going to dive into that. Interior design and the activities of poetry, writing, ancient art, classical literature, as well as classical Greek and collegiate Gothic architecture. I'm really on a journey to define what is dark academia. So this trend emerged on social media. It started on Tumblr. Tumblr girlies, where are you? I was one of them. If you don't know what Tumblr is, it was like Instagram before, it was like the Instagram before Instagram. So this was popularized by adolescents and young adults, not surprised, in the late 2010s, early 2020s, and it kind of took off during the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. So what I'm going to be getting ready, but see, I wanted to get through at least a general definition, and then I'm like looking at my computer because I find it so interesting. I'm going to get ready but I wanted this definition here because I think of dark academia as, even though it's an idealized version, the aesthetic is like an idealized version of things. So I think of idealized as perfected. But the weird thing is that it sometimes, dark academia sometimes meshes with goth. And there's a moment, oh yes, it was described by Hannah Southwick of USA Today as a melancholic aesthetic, and it is described as boarding school meets goth enthusiast. So here's the deal with goth enthusiasts and academics, there is a sense that aesthetics are put aside, essentially. Or maybe not put aside, that one is so confident in their aesthetic that they give a I don't care vibe. There's like a lived in grunge vibe to dark academia. Like, it's not about the perfect hair and the perfect makeup and the perfect winged eyeliner and the perfect lip line and the perfectly pressed outfit. It is not necessarily that. It is when I think about dark academia, I think about somebody who's so confident in their skin, in their body, in their own aesthetic, that they give a vibe that they don't care. And so things are not necessarily perfect, but rather lived in. So I'm gonna try and emulate that with a makeup look. And I don't know, maybe I'll talk, maybe I'll be back. I don't really have a super plan for this video. So we're just gonna put on some makeup and I'll be back. So the dark academia makeup aesthetic seems to have an all matte eye or no eye makeup, but an all matte brown or burgundy eye with some mascara and rather kind of actually more filled in brows than I would have initially imagined. I'll throw up some inspo images that I'm going off of, and my makeup skills can only take me so far, so I'll just emulate what I can. Sometimes there's quite a rosy blushy cheek and then a dark lip. So that seems to be like when you look up dark academia makeup aesthetic, that's what's coming up. So I'm going to again try and take this as inspo and go from there. What's fun about dark academia is that it is giving fall. It's giving autumn, changing weather, fall all the way. I took my hair out and I've zhuzhed it a little bit, and I was looking at pictures. How do dark academics do their hair, especially if they're women? And it seems like center part. Everyone does a center part, and sometimes there's sort of clips on the side. So I'm gonna try and do that now. According to Collier, when I was looking up dark academia movies, television shows, they had a great list. So I'm gonna go through that now. They have The Skulls from 2000. Have not watched that. You're actually gonna get an insight into how much TV and how many movies and how many television shows I have not watched. Dorian Gray from 2009, have not watched that. Cruel Intentions, have watched this, thought it was great, watched it a long time ago. Mean Girl vibes, really good. And I could definitely see like the dark academia vibes, you know, coming through in that movie, even in 1999. The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, 2018 to 2020, loved the aesthetic of that show. It was like an updated version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The Magicians, which I have seen, 2015 to 2020. I think the setting, being at a magician's school, is more in line with the dark academia vibe and like what they're trying to do on the show versus the actual aesthetic. I don't think aesthetically it actually is very in line with the dark academia. It's a little, it's pushed a little more mainstream. It's a little less like, you know, going for the full aesthetic, unlike Sabrina, which is like all aesthetics, all vibes, all of that, the fashion, the makeup, everything that is like a huge part of the show. And it's less of a huge part of the show of The Magicians. Maurice, 1987, haven't read the book or watched the movie. A Discovery of Witches, 2018 to 2022. I've read the book. I thought it was fine. Controversial opinion there. And I've not seen the show, so I'm not exactly sure what the vibe or the fashion or the aesthetic is like on the show. Penny Dreadful, haven't watched that. Black Swan, have not watched that. Dead Poets Society from 1989, have not seen that. Oh, Wednesday, like the new revamp of the Addams Family show, have not seen that, but I've seen the aesthetic. Yeah, I don't know if it's pushed more towards like, it's like dark academia aesthetic, but more cartoony. From some of the images I've seen, that's where it's being pushed towards, but I don't know for sure. Harry Potter films, it's like, I think it's probably one of the biggest inspirations for the whole dark academia aesthetic in general. And I've seen a couple of those movies. I know I don't know. I've just not seen Harry Potter. I know that's kind of like sacrilegious for some people, but I've just not seen them. I need to get changed. Like, I'm still in my pajamas. I'm in my pajamas and I need to get dressed, and this is what dark academia, the clothing, has to do with, according to Wikipedia and pictures that I've sourced on the internet. So it has to do with cardigans, blazers, dress shirts, plaid skirts, Oxford shoes, clothing made out of houndstooth or tweed, definitely. And the color palette is like super, super boring. It's like brown, black, tan, gray, beige, navy blue, dark green, and if you're feeling really spicy that day, maroon. So let me see what I can put together. I've noticed a lot of Peter Pan colors in this aesthetic, so we're gonna go with my one Peter Pan collar shirt. This is harder than I thought. And then, I have some linen navy pants and a blazer and some Oxfords, so we're gonna just see that for now. Okay, so I think I've actually done pretty well so far. So now we're gonna go into the dark academia books. Let me gather them up and I'll be back to show you all. I'm going to show you all my dark academia book collection. Since dark academia did start with Harry Potter and the Tumblr gals, and I have Harry Potter here, dark academia. I would say like the quintessential aesthetics and the descriptions and the thing that I think really kind of spurred on the movement. Although I do, I agree with the whole Harry Potter thing, but what I think of dark academia, you cannot separate it from Donna Tartt's The Secret History, about a group of friends and a more whodunit. Like, it's not a whodunit. You found out who did, it's a story of a murder at a boarding school. And you know that on the first page. And it's more like, why? And it has a lot to do with dark academia and secret societies and exclusivity and so on. And then a response to that, but a totally wild and off the rails version of it would be Bunny by Mona Awad. Like, dark academia meets unhinged woman and it goes crazy. So yeah, this is Cuckoo's Bananas, off the rails, so much fun, amazing, brilliant masterpiece. Love this. And then if you're talking about secret knowledge and just like the ancient classical works, I had to include Plato, but actually I have a whole video dedicated to my classics collection, which I will leave linked down below. We also have, dark academia is very obsessed with Lord Byron and Mary Shelley, and this is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. So this fits with the dark academic aesthetic and what it's based off of. If you're talking about secret knowledge, another book I've read is Piranesi, which is by Susanna Clarke. This is a fantasy novel, but it does have a strong vibes. It's all about the setting and the vibes, and it definitely is about secrets, and it's strange and confusing, but really good. Really enjoyed this. Those are all the books that I've read, and I have another one that I read, but it's a bit of a stretch. I'll do that one after the one that is dark academia vibes for sure, because it's boarding school, and boarding school in like the 1800s. Yes, 1805. I did well. 1805. And that is Emma Donohue's new book, Learned by Heart, which is about Anne Lister and her first love. Anne Lister wrote in code. She had a 5 million word diary written in code. I believe it was 5 million. I might be wrong on that. And it took a very long time for scholars to break the code and finally dig into her diary. So if you're talking about secret knowledge, you're talking about somebody who was creating secret knowledge. Anne Lister. She's also known as one of the first modern day lesbians, and I think her pseudonym is Gentleman Jack, but I'm not sure. So this is a fictional version of her time at boarding school, and it has boarding school vibes and friendship vibes and secret knowledge vibes, but I'm only about a third of the way through. Here's my book that's a total stretch, because it's not set in a school, it's set in a hospital bed, but it is about secret knowledge. And I thought, if we're talking about secret knowledge and alternative history, which is not really dark academia, this is probably a stretch, but I have Josephine Tey's The Daughter of Time, which is a fantastic mystery, but it's all about like secret alternative knowledge history-ness. Okay, so just go with it, all right? And then the final two books, and one of them, both I have not read, so I don't know and I can't judge for myself yet, but it is Vita Nostra by Marina and Sergei Dyachenko, and it's translated by Julia Hersey. So I think this is a dark academic fantasy book, but I haven't read it, so I can't judge for myself. And then probably on the lighter dark academia side, light dark academia. I think that's an actual thing, but it's about art, and it's a campus novel. It's all about art, and that is Sirens and Muses by Antonia Ingres, and this is one I've been meaning to read. I've heard such good things about it, and yeah, so this concludes my dark academia book collection, changing myself into a dark academic. And of course, dark academia has to do with also sort of even though it's an aesthetic on the internet, it's obsessed. The dark academic activities are all like things that you can do, tactile things that you can do with your hands. So it's like typewriters, calligraphy, reading, libraries, coffee shops, and much, much, much more. And so those are activities that have to do with dark academia. But it's so funny because all of that stuff is basically but the aesthetic itself lives on the internet, which is the opposite of all of that stuff. It's things that live in cyberspace. I had such a great time making this video and digging into dark academia as an aesthetic and going through my collection and finding the things in my collection. This was a lot of fun. So if you had fun as well, I would, again, at the end of the video, encourage you to subscribe. But otherwise, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for just spending your time with me. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.